night breaking, we are taking, this is our time. Just breathe, this won't be a hard fight. The truth cash out in the night.
How's it going, Johnny? How you doing, bud?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing really well, really well. It's been a great week. How's the family? How's the little baby bear?
She is doing excellent, growing, getting big and strong and loud, but
Well,
everything is going good.
she should be the perfect one because you made all the mistakes with the other one. So this one should come out and grow and be perfect,
Yeah,
literally perfect.
right. If only the world worked like that. Uh, yeah,
uh,
she still wants to have another one.
no.
Oh yeah, yep, yep, yep. So if anybody has a number for a good psychiatrist, pass it
Oh,
my way.
dude. That's my biggest. You're living my biggest fear. You're living my biggest fear. But again, my biggest fear is because I'm much older than you, and so
Yeah.
that happening at my age would just it would kill me, dude. It would kill me. Because first of all, I'm not good at relationships, so I know it's gonna fail. So I'm automatically going into it going 18 years of child support.
Well, you can't. You can't say that. I mean, you were married for a little while, so
For a
you made
little
it
while.
work for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
she always wanted a big family, and then I don't know if I already told this story, but after my son was born, our second child, she's like, "Well, we got a boy and a girl. I guess, I guess I'm good." And I'm like, "All right." Well, I went and did the I took the appropriate measures to make sure that
right.
that would not happen again. And then about 2 years later, she changed her mind. So I went and took the appropriate measures yet again to reverse the process, and that did not work. So for a couple of years, she looked into adoption, foster care, and everything else, and then uh, she was like, "Hey, what about IVF?" I'm like, I don't know what that is. That's some type of is that like Pabst Blue Ribbon? What is that? She's like, "No, it's how we have another child." I'm like, "All right, let's do it." So yeah, it was. I'm a little older than I would prefer to be, but everything happens for a reason. So good to go.
Well, you got a great wife, and for her to want another child, that tells me she's extremely invested in you.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
so,
Apparently so.
but now speaking of big families, I just found this out within the last week. I have a brother. Well, I have multiple. There's 8 of us all together. I have, including myself. There's 4 boys and 4 girls. So I come from a large family. But I have one brother. I want to say he's in his 40s, upper, getting up there, mid to late 40s. He is now expecting in December his 12th child,
Holy mackerel!
all by the same woman. He's been married for her since the beginning, and they're about to have their 12th child.
That is a
Yep.
big family. Well, he's
And
doing his part.
yeah, and it's an amazing family. The last time I saw them, he was at 10, I think it was. And I was married at the time, and me and my wife went over to babysit them, and it was like there was not a kid there. They're so quiet, and they break up into little groups, and they do things together.
Right.
It was awesome to babysit 10 kids. I didn't even want to leave. Now he's up to 12, um, but everyone he's very involved. They're very involved in everything. They're all in Cub Scouts and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, the 3 oldest, the oldest has now got accepted to West Point, so he'll be going to West Point soon. And they're all Eagle Scouts. The top 3 are already Eagle Scouts. See what I'm saying?
Wow.
So very, very good family, very smart, very bright, and stuff like that. Good kids, but they'll never know their Uncle Rick because one, I can't remember all their names at all. You know what I mean? And they live up in New Jersey right now, so chances are me seeing them are pretty slim. And here's the funny thing: out of 12 kids, well, we don't know about this one yet, but out of 12 kids, one girl, one girl.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
He's building
So
his an
his
entire
arm.
platoon.
Yep, he's got an army to protect her if there's any problems. You know. I hope it's cheaper by
Very
the
cool.
dozen. I heard
Yeah.
after I don't know if this is true because I don't have kids, but if you have I think it's 9, you don't pay taxes anymore. I don't know. I don't
Oh, well, I'll never figure that out. Four's pushing
know. uh,
it.
yeah, it's I couldn't imagine. I just couldn't imagine. I told him I said God forbid she ever leaves you, which I don't think will
Yeah.
happen. But he's in the mid to upper 6 digit range in income. I mean, he's making over 300,000 a year, so
Oh,
he
well,
can
that's
afford
good.
a big family and stuff. Oh yeah, he's financially set. He's a president of some company and stuff like that. So really smart guy. So,
Well, that's good.
but
So tell us about our guest.
all right. So we have tonight. We have Todd Tourville, great guy. We've spoken many times on the phone and stuff like that. He's really like-minded. That's why I like him because he's grounded in his beliefs and he's grounded in his research and he's grounded in his theories. Nothing spectacular out there. If a lot of people remember in the past, we had Adam Pierce on the show, and Adam Pierce is also a co-host of um, a podcast that's actually on, I believe it's on Spotify, called Entering the Unknown. And Todd is also the other co-host. So they host together this show. And so after having Adam on the show, I was really interested in getting Todd on the show, but he had ran ill. He had gotten sick for a little bit, and I told him, "Hey, when you get healthy, we got time and stuff like that. I'm not going anywhere." So it just
Yeah.
worked out, and he made it, and we've got him here on the show, and I will bring him on now.
Hey guys, how's it going?
What's
Good
going on,
man, how are
Todd?
you?
Doing fine. Glad to be here. This is my first show.
Your first show. Is it your first one, your
Yeah,
first interview?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well,
I don't
that's
know.
excellent, man.
I'm pretty shy and reclusive, so I like to keep to myself.
You know,
It's
that's
like,
actually why that's actually why I partnered up with Richard here, because I'm not exactly a people person, and he is. So he balances the things out.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, I
he
get along
he
great with people.
he got me on the show because I was cheap.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
about as cheap as I
it's a
am.
lot cheaper. And I found out it's a lot cheaper to have a podcast than to do anything else. So I figured, what the heck? It's like, I'll dive into that. Yeah,
So what you got?
I enjoyed
What
it.
got you interested in all this?
Well, like, I don't know, just start from the beginning. The year was 1976. I had just graduated from eighth grade. Me and my best friend at the time, Mickle, and his stepbrother, Bruce, we got permission to go camping unsupervised for the weekend just after our graduation. So we were going to be camping for, I don't know, it's a weekend or a week. I think it was more like a week. So we went out to this place called Number Four Dam locally, McDonald's Lake on the map. And there's four islands on this lake. And us being youngsters, we figured we'll camp on the first one. It's like, 150 yards from shore at the most. So we paddle out there, set up our tent and everything like that. And Bruce's father brought us up for initiation without telling our folks or his wife. And he supplied us with a case of beer. So we drank that case of beer that first night on that island. And that's when you drink beer, you got to pee a lot. So the next morning, I got up early, right at the crack of dawn. Just the sky, you could see clearly. Walked to the edge of that island, was standing there peeing off that rock, and I look up and it was a feeling as I was being watched. So I looked around and there was this big hairy thing standing on the shore watching me pee. And I was like, what? I about fell off the rock, gained my composure, and it was gone. So I went back in the tent, never told anybody about it. And that was the year that show In Search Of came out with that Leonard Nimoy talking about Bigfoot. And I was like, that's what I saw. I thought, when I saw that, I didn't tell anybody. So that's what I saw. So I got into looking into Bigfoot, the Yeti, because I come across back then, there was very few stories about it and the research was almost impossible unless you could travel to different libraries and look through their microfiche newspaper clippings. But yeah, that's what got me into it. I mean, I was in at that point. I was in it so much that in 11th grade, I finally was going to come clean about it. I had to write a term paper to pass English 11. So I wrote my term paper on Bigfoot. And I flunked. The teacher didn't believe in Bigfoot. My hypothesis, trying to prove it. I couldn't do it. My word wasn't good enough. I had to repeat English 11 over. I was like, nah. And I never told anybody about it for long years after that. I joined the Navy, came out, seen places around the world, looking for other cryptids and stuff because it got me into it. And then several years ago, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, me and a brother were on a camping trip up into the Utah mountains in Utah. I think that's what they're called. And I was call blasting some Bigfoot calls. I got some app off the internet that had Bigfoot calls. So I bought my Bluetooth speaker, turned it all the way up, and was blasted it across the little Provo River up into the mountain. And I got something to answer back. I waited 20 minutes, repeated. A little while later, got something to answer back. But this time it sounded closer. I did this 3 times. This was probably around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And my brother stuck his head out of his tent and said, cut it out. I'm trying to sleep in here. So that thing reported back the 3rd time, and it sounded like it was about a half a mile away at that point. And I think, because it was coming from behind his tent, I don't think he was appreciative that thing was going to come through his tent to get to me. So I stopped for the night. I've camped out of number 4 dam again, waiting for some friends that come up every year that used to live up here. Because I live in northern Michigan, not too far from Lake Superior, like 10, 15 miles from the shore. And anyway, I was camped out number 4 one night, and it was windy out, and it was getting ready to rain. And I was sitting there waiting for the fire to go down before I can crawl in my tent and go to sleep. I was already out there for over a week by myself. Nobody else camped out there a whole week, except for that night. An RV pull came in and parked in the camping spot across the lake from me. And we were on one end of the lake where it was real small. And then it goes through its channel and it opens up into a rather large lake, man-made lake, And they had a nice bonfire going on over there. And so I went to bed because it started to rain out. But before I went to bed, I should say, I got a smell of something funny. It smelled like rot, wet dog, wild animals smell, real musky, rancid odor. And I looked around and I didn't see anything. But I noticed that I couldn't see the lake. Normally I could see the lake through a couple dead pine trees. So I'm like 20 yards from the lake. I couldn't see the lake. Even in cloud, you could still see the movement of the waves. So I turned around and looked again, and this time I realized the reason why I didn't see anything was because there was some big, airy, wide thing standing there staring at me, just out of the firelight. I could make out its shape, but I couldn't make out its face. I couldn't make out any fine details, but I could see the glitter of the flame off its eyes. And it was standing there staring at me. So I was like, I didn't have any, the only weapons I had with me at the time was 2 machetes and a pocket knife. And I was using my pocket knife and I was whittling on a piece of wood when it started. And the nearest machete was in the tent, and another one was underneath the rain fly on the picnic table. So I moved my chair between the fireplace and this big pine tree that's probably about close to 2.5, 3 feet across. And I figured if that thing's going to come at me, it's going to have to reach around this tree. And I said, when it does that, I'm going to stab its hand and I'm going to take off running. So all of a sudden that smell disappeared. And I turned around and I looked and I didn't see it. It was gone. So I went to bed. But before I did, as I was laying in my cot, I grabbed my cell phone and I called my oldest brother, who lived about 15 miles away. And I told him, bring me a shotgun. He goes, I can't. I'm in Wausau. His oldest daughter was going into false labor, so they had to take her 150 miles away to the nearest specialty care center. So I was left out there without a gun and just 2 machetes and a pocket knife. And I told him, I says, well, when you get home, I said, check with mom in the morning. I says, if I haven't checked in with her, I said, you send the police department out here, the sheriff's department. And my phone went dead because I only had 1 bar left on it. And my truck was parked maybe a quarter mile away on the other side of the lake. I was on the farthest campsite at that lake on that one side of the lake. So if I had to run for my truck, there's no way I'd ever make it. So if I start to doze off, I could hear something moving around my tent. I had all these strings coming down. I had the rain fly for my tent had a big burn hole in it, so I had to use a plastic tarp to cover my tent to keep the rain out of it. So it was kind of loud, and I had all these strings trying to keep it down and keep it tight. And whatever it was walking around, was stepping over the strings. And pretty soon I heard something walking around my tent. I could hear something going through one of my backpacks on the table underneath the rain fly. I could hear it moving through the pots and pans that I had there from when I cooked supper. And I was trying to look out because I couldn't see anything out of the window. And eventually they went away and I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning bright and early, walked around, looked for footprints because it rained that night and I didn't see any footprints. So I went home, stopped by my mom's house on the way, checked in with her, told her what happened. And she got a chuckle out of it. And I went and got some fresh water and 40 pounds of ice and then came back out to the lake waiting for my friends. And another time, we were walking, me and another friend were out looking for Bigfoot, driving down this one road through this 2-track logging road through the woods. And we stopped because there was a row of rocks going down the side of this logging road that went from large to small for about 10 feet, about maybe a dozen rocks, maybe a little more. And we're sitting there looking at that. And I'm getting ready to take a picture of it with my phone. And there's a sapling in front of my truck. Mind you, I'm parked next to a clump of saplings, like, maybe 10 feet wide, about 4 or 5 feet deep, all about 1.5 inches, maybe in diameter, maybe 2 inches in diameter. And this sapling right in front of my truck bends over, somehow touches the ground and comes back up. And I'm like, what the heck? And I get the cat out of my truck to go look behind that clump of saplings. And my buddy sitting in his passenger seat says, nah, let's get out of here. I was like, all right. So we drove was going to go back that night and set up a game camera, but I wasn't sure where it was. And when I went back the next day, that row of rocks was not there anymore. Another night, I went on an evening before dark. We went out to this one place where these people were building this new house. They had dug a hole to put the foundation in, and they had poured the keyway for the foundation to bear the basic footing underneath the wall, And there was a pump there, and there was a hose there. And there's nothing because like it sat there for a while. You could see the pump had webs on it from spiders and hadn't been used in a while. Wondering why the heck they didn't stop. Why they stopped building their house? Maybe they ran out of money. Went back a month later. There was signs that somebody was there, and there was a trailer there, but they took the trailer away. And I was standing there, and we could hear this coming from this thicket down in this little ravine off to the side of this property, but basically by where we parked our vehicle. And so I was going to go walking down there, and all of a sudden a rock comes flying out of that and lands in front of me and rolls up to my foot. And I turn around and ask my buddy, "Did you throw that at me?" And he's backpedaling it back to the car because we're in his car, and he's getting ready to leave me there. And I'm like, nah. So I jumped in the car and left, and I never got another picture. I did get that video, though, because I turned on my video camera as I started to walk down there. That's when that rock came flying out of the air. It landed right as the camera came on and rolled up to my foot. I showed that to Adam. It's not definitive proof, but proof enough for me. And Adam saw it. He believed it. I was like, that's good. He's like, the other time we were camping up between these two rivers off of this logging road, like 3 miles at the most from Lake Superior.
Well, let's stop real quick. Where? Tell us the locations. Where is this taking place at?
Oh, that rock took place the UP of Michigan. I live in the western tip of the UP of Michigan, where most of these places took place, unless, like I told you, unless it was in the Utah Mountains off the Provo River. That was in Utah. Most of my encounters are at the western end of the UP in Michigan, just north of Wisconsin.
How large are these wilderness areas?
Hundreds of acres, maybe thousands of acres.
Okay.
We got the Hiawatha National Forest right here. We have the Ottawa National Forest. There's lots of privately owned forest land up here, like people owning 1,200 plus acres for hunting. Yeah, it's pretty rural. We're the biggest. I live in the biggest town, this half of the Upper Peninsula, and it's probably got about 10,000, 12,000 people in it. It's a very sparsely populated section of the state. As a matter of fact, there's less than probably 50,000 people living in this whole part of the state, the whole UP of Michigan. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, and it's very sparse. There's lots of trees, lots of wilderness, lots of wildlife, deer, bears, moose. Mountain lions have been recently spotted. All kinds of small other critters like muskrats, beavers, raccoons, groundhogs. It's the only county in the state that I live in that hasn't had a viewing of a wild hog, which is good. But yeah, I mean,
No,
yeah,
right. The one you saw by the fire, about how close was that?
it was a good 20, 25 feet away.
That's
It's
still
just on
pretty
the edge of
dadgum
it.
close.
Yeah, and the thing was, I was a carpenter. I'm a handyman now. So I've got a good judgment of height and width. The thing was roughly almost 10 feet tall, 4.5 feet wide. It was wider than a sheet of plywood. I knew that.
Well,
And it was just standing there staring at me.
you were call blasting.
Yeah.
Do
Not
you
this time, I
remember?
wasn't. No.
Oh, you weren't.
When I was call blasting, I was in Utah.
Right. So you didn't
Um,
do anything out of the ordinary, and it just walked up on you.
yeah, yeah.
God,
As a matter of fact, me and Adam have walked back in those woods, I think twice or so, looking for something, you know. And
right?
it's just it's very strange. I mean, a friend of mine was fishing off of that lake at the far end from where I had my sighting when a storm blew in and a thunderstorm blew in, and he took his boat and got it, pulled into this little peninsula that sticks out in the lake, and was hunkered down under an umbrella. There was something he said like 10 feet away. You couldn't see through the thick brush because nobody ever goes back there. There's nothing back on that other. There's no way to get back there unless you walk through the woods and swamps and stuff. Something was shaking a 6-inch tree like it was nothing. He said, and he freaked him out. He didn't give a shit if he got struck by lightning, but he was getting back away from that, and he pushed his boat motor was all wound up in weeds. So he had to use his oar and push himself back out in the middle of the lake. There's lots of strange people, lots of strange happenings there. People see things lots of times, I guess, but they don't report it. Everybody I've come across that said they saw something was roughly in that same area. Um, my second oldest brother was deer hunting not too far from there. I'd say within 5-6 miles of there, out in the wilderness, deer hunting with a deer stand or tree stand, and he had to run a string line from where he parked to find this thing in the woods at dark so he could find his way there without, this is back in the 70s. And he was up there 18 feet off the ground, and he said something walked underneath his deer blind or his deer stand. I mean, and he said whatever it was, it was it was big enough that he said it could have reached up and probably touched his foot. I don't know if he was 18 feet off the ground or not, but he was up there as far as you're legally allowed to, and I think that might be 14 feet or something like that in the state. But yeah, he said this it just scared the shit out of him. He said he couldn't see it, but he could hear it, and he could hear it breathing. He said he could hear this thing walking through the woods, walking out of this swamp, breathing real heavy breathing. He said it sounded like a buffalo, and how cows breathe. He said it sounded like that as this thing walked underneath his. It wasn't a moose. It was, I don't know, but yeah. So it's my favorite place to go Bigfoot. But like as I was saying before, I was 3 miles from Lake Superior, being my same brother. Um, we traveled to go check out Bigfoot places. Like a couple of years ago, we went out to Northern California, but we were camped out here in Northern Michigan, not too far from Lake Superior, not too far from Presque Isle State Park in the Porcupine Mountains. And the dog, my brother's blind, so he's got a service dog. And his dog kept looking down this logging road, basically almost pointing. It was a golden retriever, it's a hunting dog. So it's trying to tell us if something does. So we walk down there, and I take my camera and my video camera, and I zoom him all the way in, and I push the video camera, turn it on, and I start taking pictures. And I got pictures of something standing behind a clump of trees. And you have to look at it carefully because I didn't want to post this because I don't want to be made fun of because people say it might be pareidolia. I don't. I've had people look at it they independently and say that they saw a hand, two sets of eyes. There was it appears to be a female Bigfoot holding a baby Bigfoot up against its chest. Well, there's another one standing next to it on the ground. And I got those pictures, and I was like, I wasn't sure what it is, so I had somebody else look at it, and they said, yeah, it looks like something standing there. Look, you can see the hand. Look, there's eyes right there. Wow. So I've been trying to get back to that same spot to check it out, but I can't remember exactly where it was. And a lot of these roads now have gates on them because they passed legislation that if you own property, you could put gates up on it if you own both sides of the road. So most of these places up here now have been gated off so that Bigfoot activity probably increased because there's no human interference anymore. But as we were sitting there that night after I took those pictures, we were sitting around the fire cooking bratwurst on sticks. And every time I was talking, my brother said he could hear something walking around behind me. Every time he was talking, I could hear something walking around behind him. So we were surrounded that night. And unfortunately for us that night, they must have went away someplace, because that night we got 3 inches of snow. And I woke up and we had set up, a gifting spot a quarter mile down the road on a stump with oranges, apples, yogurt bars, and candy bars, and bright wrappers like Reese's cups. And nothing touched that stuff. And there was no footprints in the snow or anything. So we packed it up and left, because we weren't prepared for the snow. It wasn't supposed to snow, but it just happened to us. It was that, that happens up here a lot. It's another time I was out there by that property where I was telling you, where they were building a house. And to this day, there's still no house there. And that hole that they dug with the footings in it is now basically a swimming pool, because it's filled with water. And I guess those people didn't build a house there because, like I said, there was activity around that place. You could hear them. They were sounding like gorillas almost, or monkeys in the trees. Go, hoo, hoo, hoo. And you could basically see these shadows moving around in these. It was real thick, tag elder bunch looks like. That's what these things were hiding in, or behind a bunch of tag elders.
Yeah, I've recorded some of those same sounds. Matter of fact, there's a video on my channel where I literally say that sounded like a gorilla. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As I'm walking out of a very specific area that we were using as our focal point, and we were leaving equipment in that area and stuff like that. And this is our first time in that area, so we weren't leaving equipment. We were just scouting. And as we were walking out, the other guy was running a parabolic, and I was walking behind him. And then all of a sudden I tap him on the shoulder, because I heard that hoo, 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 behind me,
freaky, ain't it?
where we just left. You know what I mean? And then we went back and checked out the recording later, and sure enough, we caught it. We caught the sound.
That's nice.
of something back there, giving that gorilla sound.
That was the sound I was using the call blast with as well. I had that. I don't remember what the app was, but I got a different phone, and that app didn't transfer over, and I think they stopped making it or something. But there was like 20 calls on there, and that was the one that sounded the most like anything I could visualize Bigfoot making. There was, there was some of them that I couldn't get them to come out loud and clear, other than that one. So that's what I used. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. We came across just the bones of a dead elk on that trip up in some mountain. I forget what the heck the mountain was called. There's a YouTube video about these guys that bought these mines that were on top of this mountain, and they hired these 2 college kids to go up there and muck out one or two of these mines so they could get back in and dig out the openings that were, closed off. And they were drunk and making fun of Bigfoot and stuff like that the whole night, making all these sounds and stuff like that. And a Bigfoot came and tore the tent off from above them, and they took off and jumped in their Jeep and ran down this mountain road, which it's probably a good 7 miles, but you can't go more than 2-3 miles at a time, and they flew down this. They totaled their Jeep going down this road trying to get away from these things. And
I think I remember that story. Was that the guys?
I think it was right outside Klamath.
They were hired to go up there and do some work, and they got I don't know. There was a major encounter, and they left.
Yeah.
They ended up at a store in a phone booth in their underwear.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Waiting for somebody to come get them. So they were so scared. They left everything. They didn't even go back and get their gear or anything. Their tents, nothing. They just said, "We're done."
Coleman stove was twisted like a Christmas candy. They said, "Yeah." My brother came across that video, and he turned me onto it, and we made reservations and we drove out there to check it out. And we couldn't get all the way up to the top of the mountain because there was a landslide, and I was about to take my truck through some boulder field and start sliding off the side of a mountain. I was like, nah. So we only went up like, I don't know, 3/4, 2/3 of the way or something like that to the top, and had to turn around. But we didn't have any encounters at that specific spot because there's an Airbnb cabin right at the bottom of that road, and we rented that because the guy that owns that was also from the UP of Michigan. So he was like, yeah, sure. 2-bedroom cabin. The water smelled really bad. It was like, well, but so we stayed there for a couple of nights and recouped from the drive there. And I had to because I was the only one driving. And then after that, we went up into the mountains and found some camping spots along the Little Provo River, which was really nice because then we could do some trout fishing. And that's another reason we went up there to go do trout fishing too. And we ended up in that was a different time. One time we went up to the Teddy Roosevelt National Park in northern Colorado, and nothing happened. It was a very uneventful trip there and back, but it was my first time in the Rockies, and I really loved it. And so I'd like to go back and check it out and to find some place that's actually a lot more hot than where we were, because we got stuck in some valley and it took us 143-mile detour. We had to drive all the way into Montana or Wyoming to get to Fort Collins, Colorado, because the road washed away behind us where we were camping.
Oh wow!
And to drive out, had to keep going north through the mountain. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
It's good. Good thing you had gas.
Good thing I had an economical vehicle.
Yeah.
That's what I think I had a half a tank of gas when the ranger came and told us, I'm gonna have to drive that way. And I'm thinking, I got a half a tank of gas. He says it's 147 miles. And I hope he makes it.
I could be 20 miles out of town with a half a tank of gas and look at my partner and go, "We ain't making it." my truck drinks gas, man. Dodge ain't known for having good gas mileage. Yeah,
No, not at all.
I got a Ford F-150 that's got an extended tank on it.
Yeah.
My gas tank's like, we don't know how many gallons is in it because it never shows the same thing. We figure it's close to 40-gallon gas tank on my truck.
Wow.
So when gas prices were super steep, I'd have to take out small business loans to fill it.
Yeah, I got a 22-gallon tank, I think, or something like that, and I fill it up. At a half a tank all the time, which anybody should. It saves your fuel pump, but
I do mine at half a quarter tank. Yeah, my truck gets 20 miles to the gallon if I'm going 65, 70 miles an hour. Seems like the faster I go, the better gas mileage I get. I don't know.
Yeah, I do really well with the wind blowing behind me. If it's blowing me, it's going with me.
Yeah,
I tend to do a little bit better. Downhill, I do really good. I want to go back to your first sighting real quick when you were a child, and you were taking a leak off the boulder, and you saw that one. Describe that one. Tell me what you remember with what that.
I remember
looked like.
It was standing there facing me. It was standing in the water. I think the water was up basically like just below its knees. One hand was down to its side. The other hand was holding onto a branch up by its head. And it was just standing there staring at me. And in order to get out of that water and disappear that quick, that thing had to move like lightning speed. I mean, seriously. I could not figure out how it moved that quick.
Describe what it looked like as far as hair length. Did you get to see any facial features?
Looking at it, it's about 100 yards away. I would say the hair length is probably about 4 inches, maybe. Maybe might be a little bit longer. It wasn't like fur, it wasn't completely covered. I could make out its chest. its face. It looked it's like a cross between a man and a gorilla. Kind of like some kind of caveman looking thing. It had like it had a bearded mustache. It was bare around its eyes and down to partially part to its cheek. About whatever this is, your cheekbone. That's where the fur pretty much stopped. I mean, it went up like somebody who hasn't kept beard. Um, and
Let me
and,
let,
and hair around
let
its
me
head was like, yeah,
let me pull up a picture and you tell me how close it resembles.
yeah, very close to that. It had more hair over its forehead though, and
Okay.
the hair was more. Well, that's pretty brown. It was pretty close to that. And on its chest, it was kind of like brownish red. Um, I could make out its arms were huge. Bigger than my thighs was its biceps. And back then, I was a weightlifter. Um, that's what I remember.
I,
The
I,
thing had
I'm gonna
huge.
let me ask you
Yeah,
another question. Because I know my buddy's in the chat room, Icebox, and he's working on some research right now. So he's working on smell. And you said earlier that you had smelt when you whatever occasions that you smelt this creature. What time of year was it?
this was early summer,
Approximately
right
early summer.
right before the 4th of July. I shouldn't say the early summer, midsummer, right before the 4th of July.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
I wanted to ask
because
that because you had mentioned smell, and Icebox had contacted me just recently, and we were talking, and he's working on something with smell, and wondering if it's a time of year thing or different theories on smell. So
yeah,
when you
I
brought that
wonder if
up, I
that's.
wanted.
I wonder if they can control that. I kind of believe they can. Um,
Well, my
I don't
theory is
know.
they can. My theory is they can.
Yeah,
I think they use it. I have two purposes for smell. One is a defensive mechanism to let you
yep,
know that go away, like a skunk would. I'm here, go away.
yeah,
Or it could also be for mating. They're sending out
yeah.
this smell, these hormones to attract,
Mm-hmm.
a mate, and it could be on the
Pheromones and
female.
shit.
The only thing we need to narrow down is it the males or the females that do it, or do both do it. I don't know. That's
That's
where,
it. I don't
like
know
John,
either. I've never had
like
an
Johnny,
encounter with a female.
yeah, like Johnny says, until there's a long-term study of these creatures, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
No doubt. Massive amount of questions.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
what's
believe.
crazy what's crazy to me is as long as I've been doing this, I've never smelled one of them like that.
Really.
But then
How many
you
encounters
have
have you
people
had?
like you, um, encounters numerous. I guess it depends on what you call an encounter. Sightings, I've had three,
Yeah.
but one was 50 feet away. But
Yeah.
I talked to a guy yesterday or 2 nights ago that had numerous sightings and only smelled one of them one time. So it's just odd to
Yeah.
me how
Well,
it's so strong when people do smell it, but
yeah.
then you have
It's revolting.
the other side where nobody smells anything at all. So it's always been kind of weird to me that you've got both.
Well, that same night when those two were going through my gear and walking around my tent, there was no smell. So
Yeah,
I'm wondering if.
I've only dealt with smell once, and I was hiking, by myself, and I was in this one area I'd never
Mhm.
been in, and on the way back, I was taking the same path back, and when I came back to this one spot, I got this odor that wasn't there when I first came through. Very musky, very.
Mhm.
I'm not like one of these people that says it smells like dogs and trash. It just was a very heavy, musky smell. And
You ever
then later,
recognize that smell?
Yeah,
when
this was
dogs
like
get
a
aggressive.
yeah, yeah, it was a really bad, like just molded, nasty
Hmm.
linen that's gotten wet, or something like that. It was a bad smell. And then me and another researcher went out there. I don't know how much time had passed, at least a couple of weeks. And that same area at nighttime, we went out at nighttime with night vision and thermals, and we caught something in the woods. It sounded like it was just ripping apart a tree, just clawing
Oh,
at a tree. I don't know what they were. I mean, of course, unless you see it, you don't know. I mean, because there's so many
right.
animals out there. But with that area, with the smell, with what we had encountered that night, and then on Thanksgiving that same year, there was two separate Class A sightings in that area within a few hundred yards of that same
Wow.
area from two different groups, one on like a Friday and the other one on a Saturday or something like that. It was
To the
two
hot
different
spot.
days, but it was the same weekend, and they had sightings. So
Is that the
I
same
don't
place we went, Richard?
no, no,
No.
no. Even though that
Huh.
area that we went to is, I love that place.
Yeah, yeah, it's a pretty nice place.
Yeah.
I like
I
it
want to
because
go back to Northern California.
yeah, that area me and Johnny's talking about, it's 60,000 acres. I mean, it's huge, and
Wow.
it's very isolated. Where we were camping, you're 7 miles from the entrance to this place to get to where we're camping,
Okay.
and it's very primitive. Um,
Hmm.
but it has everything there, as far as I'm concerned, that could um, hold a creature like that. You got
Yeah.
60,000 acres. You've got different water sources. Definitely, there's a lot of food sources with deer, hog, whatever's out there. I'm sure there's turkey and everything else, every animal known to
Hmm.
man, except for bears. For some reason, I talked to a biologist that weekend that worked for FWC, because there's this guy, this little old man that sits at the main gate. He's not there for us. He's mostly checking in hunters, and she showed up to talk to him, and then I just started this conversation with her, and I asked about bears, and she said there's never been a bear sighting in that 60,000 acres, which surprises me. I mean, because we got bears all
Yeah.
over Florida, but she said there's never
Hmm.
been a sighting of a bear or signs of a bear. So that made me think that if Johnny or us, while we were out there, ran into somebody that had an encounter and said it was a bear, we would know, okay, it might not be a bear because you said there's no bear out here. See what I'm saying?
Right. I wonder why. What if they got all that eaten up by the Sasquatch?
No,
You
I
know?
think I think with bears and Sasquatch, and this is just my theory. I don't know. I'm no expert. Um, the two things with predator animals are one, they attack and they kill quickly because of they don't want to waste the energy. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, and two, when you fight another animal, an injury could be life threatening. It could be a simple
Right.
injury. I mean, me and Johnny love the outdoors, but if we were out there and we, you know, get a really bad cut, or we break a leg or get bit by a snake, it can be life threatening because you're so far
Right.
away from help. And these creatures, I think, are aware of that. If I fight this other predator, alpha to alpha, and I get hurt, it could be life threatening. You know what I mean? But that's just my theory, anyways.
Yeah. I can see that. Then I see grizzly bears and black bears live in the same habitat, which is kind of unusual.
And I
You
think they
know?
share habitats with bears. I really do. I think their
Yeah.
diet and everything is all in the same guidelines.
Yeah. Omnivores,
Yeah, I think they eat
where they eat.
anything that's available.
Yeah. Kind of like us humans. Well, I don't eat
Yeah.
noodles, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
I always wondered if the smells actually came from what they ate. Like maybe they eat roadkill, or maybe they've gone through a garbage can, or maybe they picked up something like that, you know.
Yeah. I always
But
thought that they're
the
close to humans, so
description,
it's BO.
yeah, the description is from one smell to the other seems to be all over the place. So it's kind of hard to pin it down. You know.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
when I first started this a long, long time ago, my always thought was it was just body odor. I mean, this thing's living out there. It's
Hmm.
even if it's bathed in a swamp, I mean, you're gonna smell like swamp. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's why it's called a swamp ape here. But as time went by and you look at different things, and I'm more towards it excretes it. Like a gorilla, a lot of people don't
Hmm.
realize does excrete a scent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I'm thinking if
very
this thing
musky
is a
odor.
cross between, if it's more human, it might be body odor, but if it's more on the gorilla side, it may be excreting this for certain reasons. We don't know. And, like I said,
You can
Yeah,
actually buy that gorilla scent.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
buy those gorilla. I actually did that one time, and they did not work. But
yeah.
I
I don't
purchased
think
them.
that gorilla psychophilies, those
eh,
gorilla pheromone chips. I don't think they that
right.
work that good.
Well, Thomas in the chat room asked, do bears smell? Yes, bears do have
Yes,
a
Yeah,
yes,
smell.
they
they
do.
do.
They
Really bad,
they do have a smell.
especially black bears.
Yeah.
They got really
Yep.
stinky odor.
Yeah.
Now we had a guy on the show in the past. I had ran into him at a conference a couple of years ago, and we were talking, and he actually was on television. He had a show. I think it was on the History Channel or something. It was one of those shows, but he was doing work with the Seminole tribes here, and his job was, animal control, basically, bad alligators, bad this, bad that. And he was telling me, and I did not know this, with the black bear, out of all the bears, grizzlies, black bears, and stuff like that, the black bear is the most aggressive. If a black bear charges you, you have to fight it. There is no lay down, act dead, or anything like that. You have to fight it until it gets this
Yeah,
the idea that you're going to fight and it's going to move on. That's why we try to scare them first. I'm not opposed to
right.
people having a conversation in the woods, because I want, if there is a bear, I want it to hear me and move on, because they will
Hmm.
avoid you. But if they do
Yeah,
aggressively attack you, they're going to kill you. He said, where a
yeah. I've
grizzly or
hiked
something
through
like that,
grizzly country.
you
I've
can lay
hiked through
down
grizzly
and play
country and
dead.
had to wear bells on my shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And with grizzlies and stuff,
yeah,
and the larger brown bears, you can lay down and they'll stop the attack at some point, and
yeah.
and leave you alone, where a black bear just won't. And that surprised me. He
Well,
also educated me on the panther. If a panther attacks you, he said choke it. Just choke the living crap out of it, because they got very weak necks, and they're
yeah.
easily choked out. So I
I
keep
was
that in
taught to
mind when I'm
shove your
out there,
hand on
but
his throat.
but I
That's how you
carry a
stop a
Yeah.
weapon.
tiger
So
fight.
yeah, I carry a pew pew when I'm out there. So
Definitely,
I
me
was
too.
I'm friends with a guy that was over very, very large area in North Georgia mountains. Frank Manning. He just retired, I think maybe last year, year before that. But he would go to Tennessee for these law enforcement classes for black bear and do a bunch of training and stuff. And kind of along the same lines you're talking about, Richard, black bears, they don't attack very often,
right,
but when they do, it usually is deadly, because 99% of the time a black bear is going to run away. But when they do
Yeah,
attack, they usually do. He told stories about them having, and it was like a training class, and I think they gave them shotguns with beanbag rounds in it and stuff like that. And they set up this scenario where they would show up at camp, and they were supposed to investigate what happened, and they had somebody laying there and everything else. Well, while they're in the middle of their investigation, I can't remember exactly what, like somebody in a suit or something, they did something. The bear came, whoever the bear was, came running out, like it was going to attack them. And they went through this whole scenario and everything. And when they got done, they're like, well, how realistic do you think this scenario was? And everybody gave their opinion. He's like, this is a real scenario. This is, you guys just did exactly what happened. You had a black bear attack that was reported. And when the officers got there and found the person or found the body, that black bear was off in the woods and it came right back and attacked them. And he talked about there was another older lady, I think probably in her 70s, where she was stalked by a family of black bear. And they actually got her and ate her. So, there's a lot of people that don't think black bears are dangerous, but they are. They really can be dangerous.
And I know there's people upset here in Florida because this is the first year right now we've opened up a bear hunting season in a long time. But Florida is now got over 4,000 black bears now.
Wow.
And so they do
That's
need
probably
to be the numbers brought down a little bit, but there's so many people upset about it. I grew up in this town. I'm 56 years old. I grew up here. I was born here. I went to high school here, and it was always known there are no bears, none. The game wardens, everything. When we go out to the local state park, they always said there's no bears here. You go out there now, every dumpster has bear cages around it so the bears don't get in there.
Mm-hmm.
I've specifically seen bears in there. I've helped the game wardens scare the bears with whistles and clapping hands to get them out of the areas. So we're inundated with bears now. And I truly believe that bears and Bigfoot, or swamp apes if you're in Florida, I think they run the same areas. You know what I mean? Because I think they're both very large apex predators, and I think they all eat the same things. You know what I mean? Even when a cub is born, the mother bear is gonna teach them what to eat and what not to eat. And I think it's the same with Sasquatch. Is it learns what to eat and what doesn't eat, and it learns from the bears, it learns from the panther, it learns from all the animals what's edible and what's not edible, and of course it's probably going to teach its young as well. Again, just a theory. I'm not an expert.
Yeah, so you do that to your children. Humans do it. Teach
I
children
gave
what
up.
to eat.
I gave up my age, and Sharon's like, we're the same age.
Told
You're
yourself.
young. I got you beat.
Yeah, I'll be 57 in January, guys, and I do accept cash. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, I've been looking into this Bigfoot thing for 50 years, so let me tell you, I gave up my age. Yeah, I started when I was 13.
Wow.
Good Lord. How many sightings have you had altogether?
I don't know. I don't keep count on any of that stuff. Probably around
actual
at least
A
five.
sightings. 5.
Actual A sightings? Probably about
Class A.
5.
Yeah.
Class A, where I see it walk right out in front of me.
And look how many years you've been doing this, and you've had 5 sightings in that entire time. And that's what blows my mind.
And most of that was all within the last 20 years.
Yeah, and that's what blows my mind. And I bring this point up all the time. It's kind of like buyer beware. I met a guy just recently that's 32 years old and has had 32 Class A sightings. Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah,
where is he living? Yeah, where is he living? I want to go there.
Yeah.
So Todd, how do you go about when you decide to go somewhere? How do you choose your research areas or the places you go? Do you just go by sighting reports or gut feeling or what you do?
No, I grab a map. If I want to go to a specific area, let's say, like here, I'll look on the map. I'll look for swampy areas that's got water coming in and going out. Not near any roads. Got plenty of privateness around it. I mean, and it's got to have a sustainable food, enough food to sustain it. So, like up here, where there's lots of deer, like to hang around up here. They like to hang around swamps. That's where usually you find your biggest deer, and that's where we usually find Sasquatch too. Swamps also produce quite a bit of edibles that you can live off of, um,
Yeah.
besides wildlife. I'm talking about veg, plant matter and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, so that's
Well,
what we look for. And what I want to know is, but lately it depends on the question. It's like, well, what if they live in caves? So we go to look, me and my brother Scott, my second oldest brother, my blind brother. We go look for a place that's got a lot of caves. Like we went down to south of us or north of him. My brother Scott lives outside, down in Illinois, outside of Chicago, and I went down, picked him up, and drove. We went and camped in the Kettle Moraine because there's lots of cracks and crannies and caves, and it's all kind of pristine wilderness because you can't. There's hiking trails and stuff through there, but for the most part, it's pretty much left alone except for during deer season. And these things, I believe ours migrate south because that's another thing. Is what was the question? Where they go in the wintertime? So we went down to the Kettle Moraine at the beginning of winter to see and camped down there to see if we had any Bigfoot activity. Naturally, we didn't, but we ran into some hunters that said that they had. So I don't know. It depends on where we look. It depends on the question. It's like um, years ago there was a story in the internet talking about this Dr. Miller who worked for the Department of the Interior, who is the National Park Service and that. And he was hired by the feds to study these things because there was this major storm in Northern California that knocked down some major trees, and they had these crews going in and not clean up these trees and get these roads open. And they came across a female Bigfoot underneath this redwood tree, and they didn't know what it was. So they sent Dr. Miller out there to do this thing, to take this thing and autopsy it and study it and take notes. Well, in his notes, according to the story, after he passed away, his daughter came across his notes when she was cleaning out his house, and she published these saying that there's 6 different subspecies of Bigfoot in the United States alone. So I want to know is, well, where are they living? Are each one and each one is differently adapted to its environment. So we went to Northern California to see, because I've never seen redwood trees up close. And I always seen the ones on TV and pictures and stuff like that. I want to see these things. Well, not all redwood trees are, trunk for about 150 feet, until it gets to the branches. A lot of redwood trees have branches starting right at the bottom of them. Some of these branches are as big around as the trees we have up here and the pristine trees that we have up here that haven't been forested in over 100 years. We're talking 10, 12 plus inch wide branches that these things can just climb up into the trees and live. And their hands are shaped like it. They're developed to hang on to branches, and their feet are developed to stand on branches and to manipulate their way around in trees, just like chimpanzee hands and feet. That's what So this is what I've been doing for my research. And so every now and then I go and I look up to find out, how can they live here and that.
yeah, I have an area here, and it's really funny because when I first started going to this area, I don't go near the main entrance. There's actually like 9 entrances to this area,
Okay.
but this one area has a sign that lists all the animals that hikers could come across. If you're bird watchers or
Yeah.
whatever. And so I'm sitting there with a buddy of mine. I look at it and I go, all I see is a menu. You know what I mean? That's what I see is a menu.
Yeah.
So, and it didn't list everything because, it did mention bears, which I know they're in there, and it did mention the panthers, which I know are in there. But it mentioned all the
They
other
mentioned
animals, which
Sasquatch.
is, no. But it is an area that I am finding. It's a non-hunting area. It's a wildlife preserve. There's no hunting, fishing, camping.
Okay.
All you can do is hike and bike ride, and that's it. And it's huge. It's
Wow.
huge. And I've been out there for, I want to say, 4 years now, and I probably still have only covered 5% of it. It's that massive. and it's very
I'm
thick.
looking for a perfect footprint.
Yeah, I've gotten some prints out there. One that really stands out was me and another guy at the backside of this property. There's a fence line, which is basically the fence is just the border from one county to the other is all it represents. And we
Uh,
found a spot where something has been coming over this fence because it was pushed down all the way to the ground. So we walked
mm,
over that, and then there's this huge easement and then another fence. So we just started walking down that easement towards the swamp area. And as we walked in, we weren't there 5 minutes. We walked into the swamp area, and this is on my channel. I videotaped it, measured it. There was a footprint. I think it was 15 inches long, but it was
nice.
filling. It was filling full of water
So it was
as
fresh.
I'm
Yeah.
filming it. You see
Wow.
it slowly. Water filled the footprint. So by the time the water fills it, you can see it's a perfect footprint, and that happened as we're walking towards it. So whatever left the footprint saw us before we knew,
Hmm.
and it got out of the area. So
Probably less than
you know,
10, less than 100 feet in front of you, hiding behind some big palm.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I didn't know it was
Well,
a swamp. I thought it was forest. I said, "Hey, let's go over this fence. Let's walk down there. Let's go
yeah.
enter the forest river on that side." And because we had no access from our side, so we did that. And I didn't realize once we got in there, it got wet, and it got wet really fast. So we only went in maybe, I don't know, 20 yards inside the swamp, and then it was knee deep in water. But before you got to the water, it's kind of low lining, but it was very soggy. So whatever step there,
Uh,
because it was a deep imprint, it was probably a good inch and a half deep imprint, but it was, like I said, it was filling full of water as I'm filming it, as I'm measuring it and stuff like that.
yeah.
So that was a really good find. Now I'm not claiming what it is or what it wasn't. I don't know. I didn't
Right.
see it. All I can do is present the
Yeah.
evidence, and this is what we just now found. So
Where I live, it's not conducive to footprints for the most part. It's very rocky soil.
yeah, and that's common. A lot of people don't realize
Yeah.
that. They say, "Oh, there'll be a lot more footprints." It has to do with the substrate. It really does. I was
Yeah.
up there with
It does.
Johnny in his area, and there were areas out there that you're not going to find a print in because the substrate was either too hard
Hmm.
or it was a lot of leaf litter. That gas line,
Yeah.
Johnny, that gas line is so grassy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The pine straw and the leaf litter is the biggest problem. Is you'll
Hmm.
I find I find impressions all the time, but you can't
Yeah.
do much with an impression. All you're doing is guessing.
No.
Um, but I've only found like the best track I found was right in the creek, and I didn't even find it. My kids found it, and it was
Wow.
the uh, the top half of the foot from like the toes down to like the mid tarsal, and it was
Yeah.
fresh. It was really fresh, but it was a juvenile, and but I mean that's the only one and it's inside of wet sand, so it wasn't castable at all. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the biggest problem that we have around here is just the like you're saying, it's not rocky, but it's definitely, covered in pine straw and leaf litter. But out there, the swamps and creeks are pretty much the best bet when it comes to that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's usually why I go near swamps too. That's my best chance of getting a footprint.
Well,
I
that's
want to get a
like you're
footprint.
talking.
So, because
The
my second oldest brother, I want to get a footprint and give it to him because that's what all he's interested in. So,
do
Yeah,
how
I've
many
been in.
brothers do you have, and do they all go out with you?
no. As a matter of fact, they a lot of them were making fun of me until my second oldest brother just teamed up with me and we started doing this stuff. Um,
Right.
but I got two older brothers, two younger brothers, and I got a sister who's younger than everybody. So there's six of us kids in our family. So it's kind of a large family,
Yeah.
large by today's standards, though. But yeah, and we're all real close in
Oh,
age too. It's like I'm 4 years younger than my oldest brother, and I'm 4 years older than my youngest brother. Well, and my next brother that's younger than me, he's 11 months apart. My parents were kind of busy.
No,
They were in
I
love for
tell my
sure.
yeah, my the brother I was talking about earlier that's now expecting his 12th kid. He's Roman Catholic, so that's where his problem is. I'm
I was going to
Baptist, so I
ask
don't
what
worry about
religion
it.
he was,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, he's
Mormon families usually have the most children.
yeah, yep.
I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Well,
Maybe they're trying to
my
build up their
last
base.
I I know exactly why. They don't have TVs.
yeah. They don't watch football on Sunday.
Exactly.
Well, neither do
You
I, but
gotta
I don't have
find
any children.
you gotta find something to do when the sun goes down.
I'm definitely that guy. If I was in a relationship, Saturdays and Sundays we're just not doing anything because it's college football and NFL. So you know, so I'm greatly reducing my chances of children. So
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I gave up watching. I haven't had cable in over 12 years,
yeah, I gave
and I
up.
yeah.
have
I
no
gave up.
children. So it obviously doesn't
I
work
wa-
for everybody.
I mean, I got a Fire Stick
No.
and I got a digital antenna, and that's all I need. I'm not paying the cable company extra
No,
exorbitant amount. You know.
for
No.
commercials,
Anything you want to
you
watch, you can
know,
find on the internet nowadays through an app. So.
I've been preaching that for years. I used to have a website called YouTube Videos or YT Videos,
Hmm.
um, and we put up massive shows, whole series, the whole like say 10-year run or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden we got hit with copyright strikes, so we had to shut it down. That was 11 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
YouTube is.
yeah,
I had somebody today mention. He's a guy we had on the show in the past, and he was on Facebook, and he had mentioned that he was just on he was on Sasquatch Theory with Miguel, and he had made a comment. He goes, watching the video. How come these YouTubers are putting it under entertainment? And then I had to explain to him because if you don't put it under entertainment, there's a lot more restrictions. You know what I mean?
big time.
So it's best if you want subscribers or if you want viewers or you want people to actually enjoy your material, you have to put it under entertainment. It's the same
Right.
with like chat rooms. When we do videos and you have a chat room, it has to be over 18 or you can't have
I didn't
chats
even
or
I didn't
comments.
even know that there was an option
Huh.
to pick that. Where do you pick that at?
I couldn't tell you
I didn't know
offhand,
that
but
either.
I know it's there because I've had to do it and put entertainment, that way. And you see it now because you'll see people do these shorts and they'll say
Yeah,
this is entertainment purposes only, even though they're telling you
yeah.
something like hey, this cures COVID, but this is entertainment purposes only. They have to put those things in there, or you're going to get strikes, or you're going to get restrictions, or they may limit
Hmm.
who gets to view your show. You know what I mean? I had a buddy of mine with a fishing channel, great guy, and all of a sudden his shows weren't being seen, and because they changed their guidelines on fishing shows, they
Oh
completely changed the
man.
guidelines on something as simple as fishing. So it made it more difficult for these guys that had fishing channels to get their content out there. See what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's explaining to people. You have to understand that it might say entertainment, but take that for what it's worth. You know.
Yeah, it's like that with writing. You have to make sure you don't get copyright infringements.
I
And
got a copyright infringement on. And anybody who watches my channel, I do these where I'm just walking and I'm just filming while I'm walking, and Sony hit me with a infraction because of bug sounds.
get the heck out of
They
here. Like to
because
see them win that lawsuit.
Sony Music has basically channels on YouTube that you can just listen to bug noises while you sleep at night. And they felt
Yeah.
that the bugs in the background of me being in the forest was a copyright infringement on their stuff on bugs. So I had to go through this process where I'm sending emails to YouTube and explaining to them. And I said,
Hmm.
I'll tell you what, if they can produce the exact recording and inlay it on my video, and if it's exact, I will pull that video. Well, then YouTube
Right.
came back and said, no, okay, we've reviewed it, you're good, blah blah blah. Another time, I got an infringement, which has happened twice now, where I was driving down the road filming going into a research area, and in the background I had my radio running, and there was a country
Oh,
music
that
song
one.
playing while
Oh
I was
yeah,
filming. Well, they
Hmm.
hit
that'll
me
get
on
you
it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So they hit me on it. So of course you have this grievance process. So I sent the email and said, look, if this country music singer is upset that a redneck is driving his truck on a dirt road in the woods listening to his music, I'll pull it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
their response
No
was,
doubt.
we're going to let you to keep the video, but we're not going to allow it to be shown in Russia. I'm good with that.
No.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Me too.
I'm good with
What's
that.
the another thing you got to be careful too is the apps that you actually put videos together on.
Hmm.
Um,
Really?
what's the main one?
Well, I
That
do YouTube Edit now, or YouTube Create. So I don't have any infringements on them because it's their music. But you've got CapCut.
CapCut. That's
You've
what I
got
was thinking about. Anyway, I made a video, one of the last documentaries I did, and I went in and used CapCut and then picked music from CapCut, and then put it on YouTube, and I got a copyright. And I'm like, wait a
Huh.
second, I used CapCut to do this. Do they not have rights? So just because you have CapCut has the right to let you make a video with that music, it doesn't mean that you can put it on YouTube. And they don't tell you
right.
that. So I had to go through
Wow.
and redo a freaking documentary, like the first 5 minutes
Wow.
of it, and go around and completely make the whole. I had to go in and make eight. Well, it's actually fun now, but they have the AI music apps where you can go in and give it a
Mhm.
prompt and you can give it lyrics, and then it'll. That's
Right.
what I have to do now is I just make my own stuff. That way I don't get the copyright infringements.
Well, that's why I use YouTube Create, and one because it has a huge gallery of music and it's all modern stuff. But because I'm using what they're offering, I haven't got any, and I use all those on my shorts. Like, I do my video of me being in the woods and my research or whatever, but I like to do 3 or 4 shorts out of it just for entertainment purposes, just let people walk through the woods and see the forest and stuff like that, because I do love the
Right.
outdoors. So I'll put music or something to that, but it's all on theirs. It's their library of music. So I
Right.
haven't been dinged on that. But I am limited. Like one of my all-time favorite songs, all time, it's like the one song that if I could hear all day, every day for the rest of my life is Hotel California by the Eagles. Well, I always wanted to do a video with that song. They do not allow you to use that one. YouTube, you
No, the
can't
Eagles
find
are
it.
one of
It's not.
the strictest bands out there to try and get
Yeah.
their music. I heard.
Now I
Um,
did a cover band doing it, and which worked out fine. But the originals, no, they won't let you.
mhm. No, it's like for my podcast, I went to Bensound, I think it was called, and they had a bunch of music that I could choose, different genres, different sounds, different, you know. And then I finally found one that I liked, and I bought it, and it cost me $40, which was I thought was reasonable, as long as nobody else can use it. Right? That's what I was told. Well, about a year ago, I'm watching a video on YouTube, and I'm like, that music's my music.
Hmm.
I didn't know what to do
Do
about it. So I said, so
I
in the comment section, I said, that's my music. I want you to take that off.
I
And
I know people that have written and produced their own music and used it in their own videos and get copyrighted,
mhm.
and it's theirs.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Sounds like the
YouTube
John
is weird.
Fogerty
YouTube is weird.
case.
So Yeah, I mean, you've had a long history of being out in the woods and researching this. I mean, we could spend all night going through all your encounters or all your stuff, and you've given us some great stuff. Um, so it is a great show. I mean, you have a lot
Yeah,
of knowledge. We have to bring you back, and we'll go in through more recent stuff. Let's say in the last 10 years or 15 years and stuff like that,
sure.
and go into a lot more
Make
detail and stuff like that.
Yeah, 50 years is a very long time to be doing this.
Yeah,
It is.
I'm trying to get together with Adam, and I'm trying to go into. We got the northern half of the lower part of the Michigan. There's the Manistee Forest, and then it comes up across the UP, just across the vert where the two meet. Um, and Adam lives over by that right now, and he's kind of freaked out because that's where he's going to be deer hunting, and he's like, I don't want to go in them woods. I'm like, I want to go in them woods because maybe next time you have us on, we will probably have maybe a freaking dogman sighting, so that's what I'm striving for now. I want to find out if there's actually these things out there, and if they are they as bullet resistant as they say? And that's where my research is going to go for the next until probably till I die, because I want to know what the hell these things are, and why is there all of a sudden there's such a rapid amount of sightings, from one sighting back in the the late 1800s, one sighting in the mid 70s or something like that downstate, till all of a sudden now there's sightings on, you can almost set your clock to it. I want to know
Yeah.
what's going on, where these things are coming from.
Well, you
Has it
won't
anything
you
to do
won't
with
have
the
you won't have me as
Hail-Mary?
competition.
Nope, I'm not looking for it. My plate is full already.
That's all you,
Big,
buddy.
yeah, Bigfoot's
Oh
takes
man,
up
I was
all
going to
my
invite
time.
you guys along.
Negative.
Not for that. If we're looking for
Well,
Bigfoot, I'm all in.
the truth of the matter is, when you go out in the woods at night, especially, you don't really get a say so in what's out there. It is what it is.
Exactly. Hmm.
You're there for whatever
Yeah,
shows up. So
It is whatever
yeah,
is
yeah.
called
I
out.
would I wouldn't mind seeing one. I don't think I don't know that I go so far as to go looking for them, but
I
as long as it's
I
not
want to
bothering
see
me, I
one.
guess I'm good to go.
I had a
Yep.
nephew that took pictures, supposedly of the dog man down by southern Wisconsin, and the only picture that he sent me was the upper half of this thing, just like walking through this field of like grass that's about 4 foot tall, and this thing's standing about 3 feet taller than the grass, and you could see
I would like
make
to
out
see
the
that picture.
pointy. It's Yeah, I will send it to you guys if I can dig it up. It's it's kind of blurry naturally, like anything cryptid. It always comes out blurry. But you can basically make out. It looks like it's walking with one arm parallel, like you bend your elbow, bent at the elbow, and you can pretty much almost make out the pointy ears on its head.
Yeah.
He saw it the day before in the woods. Him and his buddies that were going fishing, and this thing was standing on the trail about 100 feet in front of them, and it jumped off to the side of the trail. And they ran up there to see where it jumped to. It jumped down this 20-foot ravine and took off up into the woods before they could even get there. That's how fast the thing was. So he went back the next day with his camera ready, his phone, and they said they saw it in that field, and they were quite a ways away, and he took pictures of it. So yeah, I'll try and find it and send it to you
Hmm.
guys. But it's unique, because in this property, it's 40 acres with a 10-foot tall chain link fence with barbed wire on it going all the way around this property. It's 40 acres. What are they trying to keep in, or what are they trying to keep out?
Well,
Yeah, that's a little
exactly.
strange.
I've ran into it. This area I'm going into tomorrow. I am getting in the woods tomorrow. So if anybody's interested in watching my channel, I
Well,
am
I'll
back
be
in the
there.
woods. I'm going out tomorrow. Um, we there's a certain area. I don't know how long because I haven't walked the whole thing, but all of a sudden it goes from like a barbed wire fence area, three
Uh
lines,
huh.
to all of a sudden it's 10 feet tall. It's ten
Yeah.
feet, and
Freaky. What are they?
you don't need that height for deer or cattle. See what I'm saying?
No,
So why would you go 10 feet tall? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to me
right.
up there. So
Unless they're trying to keep something big in. And
in
which
or
way is the
out, I don't
barbed
know.
wire pointing? Is it
Well, this
facing
is
in or
not
is
a
it
barbed
facing
wire.
out?
It's a
Oh,
regular fence with barbed wire at the
right, with chain
top.
link fence?
You know what
Okay.
I mean? And that
Yeah.
particular area on the other side, I want to say it's for cattle or something because it's an open field and then forest again. But whatever it is, they don't want it coming in there or they don't want it coming out of there. I don't know. I would
Right.
assume they don't want it to come in there because the property that I'm researching is actually large itself, but it connects to a state park, which is another
Mhm.
12,000 acres. So maybe they're trying to keep it on the state park side and not coming on the private side, but that's on another county, so I don't know who owns it. So, but I
Wow.
am going out there tomorrow. I am going out there with another researcher and Troy Palmer, who we've had on the show. He's coming. He's driving in tomorrow morning, and we're going out there and spending the day. You know, at least a few hours out there and showing him my research area, and hopefully we find something. So it'll be a great day.
Yeah, I hope
Excellent.
so. Any day you get outside
Well,
is a
Todd,
great day. Johnny,
What's that, Johnny?
lost him.
Yeah, he's frozen. Can you hear us,
Gee,
Johnny? Yeah,
I think it's,
and those of you in the chat room,
yeah.
Troy Palmer has a also has a YouTube channel. I believe he has a YouTube channel. He also has a Facebook page, but it's Sasquatch Origins, and it's him and his partners, which is a girl named Desi, who's really awesome, and another person named Brian, that Brian Darcy, that I've also had on the show. I think the world of him. So great opportunity. He's actually coming up because I have some trail cam issues. I own three different trail cams, and two of them I'm having issues with. So he's actually coming up to
Yeah.
take the trail cams from me and taking them home with him to figure out what the problem is. And I said, hey, let's just make a day out of it. When you come to get the cameras, let's just go out to my research area and hike around because I've literally not been out there in at least 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to
Good
getting back
chance of
out
seeing
there.
something.
Yeah, the last time I've actually been in the woods is when I went up to Ohio with Icebox from because he's up there in Indiana, and he has the Dirt Road Bigfoot podcast. So he invited
Okay.
me up there, and we went up there, and that was the last time I've been in the woods. So I'm really looking forward to
Yeah.
getting out there. But this summer, it's hard up here, dude, or down here from you. It's so hot, and the
Yeah,
mosquitoes are
I know.
so
I was
bad.
stationed in Florida.
And so I kind of took the summer off, man. I was just beat. I mean, the summer was just
Mhm.
horrible. And then we have thunderstorms and rain showers, it's just horrible lightning storms. So I just kind of took a break from it and dealing with work issues and stuff like that. But life is balancing back out and things are looking good again. And so I think I'm going to get back on track and stuff like that. Thankfully, I got great subscribers. I had 2,559 subscribers. I'm only down to 2,552. So I only lost 7 subscribers in the
Nice.
last 6 months for me being not active, and I appreciate them. My
That's
my subscribers are fantastic. They're outstanding, and I
yeah.
wanna thank them for hanging in there and still being a part of what I'm doing. I really appreciate it.
I hope
And
some of
so
them
tell
come
us.
over my podcast.
Well, let's talk about your podcast. Tell them about what
All
you're
right.
doing.
Okay. My podcast is called Entering the Unknown. That says it. Um, uh, me and Adam, well, Adam had an encounter and it freaked him out. He didn't know what to do. He was afraid to go back out in the woods. And his wife was getting her hair done at a friend of mine's boutique. And I was in there getting a tan and come out. And the owner told me to go talk to this woman back there. She goes, about Bigfoot. So I went there, talked to her, hooked up with Adam after this conversation. And I got him to go back out in the woods. And he goes, you really helped me a lot. He goes, we should go on and start a podcast where we go out and help people. And I was like, you know what? That sounds like that could be fun. I said, could we talk about other stuff? And so we came up with a format of anything cryptid, unusual, weird, strange, um, current or not, conspiracies. Um, Most of the unusual. I don't want to do more paranormal stuff, but we haven't really touched on that very much. Um, uh, so we got together over at my place, went on Amazon, searched up mixing console, uh, you know, had microphones in the whole 9 yards, and on a nice set. Looked into it. Well, picked that one out. We picked out several of them, and while he was at his house, because he lives in a town away from me, I did the research, found out which the best one was, and then I ordered it. And then reimbursed me for half naturally. And we started our podcast, and we out there. Anybody that has any issues, afraid something hitting your house, something coming into your yard, taking your chickens or whatever like that, I can help you somewhat. I believe I can help you. I believe I know enough about nature, wildlife, and these Bigfoot that I believe that we can help you. And I've been teaching Adam some of the stuff that I know. Most of the stuff I learned was on my own. So who knows whether or not it's right, but it's helped me in these 50 years. I'd like to rub this into that teacher's face that flunked me for Bigfoot, but no, I
Well,
seriously, I want to help people.
I tell myself that, and I'm like, I don't know what I can do to help somebody if I go out there and I say, "Yep, you got Bigfoot. Good luck with that." I don't know how I can help them
Well,
except understand that my belief is, um, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's an
right.
aggressive creature that you have to worry about. Now, granted, if you have
Most of the
farm
time,
animals or
no.
something like that, it may take your farm animals because it's a food
Yeah.
source. But other than that, I don't think your family's in danger or anything like that. I think a lot of times it's more curiosity or
Hmm.
maybe a little antagonizing, like hitting your house or something like that, or throwing something in your direction. But I don't think it's ever um, something that you have to worry about or be scared of. You know what I mean? Because I tell people all the
Well,
time, when you look at all the sightings and all the reports,
mhm,
99% of them are passive. It's just
exactly.
happenstance, and it
Because
goes
the
in one
1%
direction and
those
you
ones you
and
got
you
to
go.
worry about.
Yeah, but that's with everything though. Name an animal that you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it. Even being killed by a chicken ain't 100%. There's still that 0.0001% that a chicken will hurt you. So I tell them, I try to tell people not to overly worry about it.
Yeah. I try to get them to realize it's just part of nature. Put up more lights, be more observant of what you're doing, make it less easy for them to come and pester you. You know, put up motion lights in your yard. Stuff like this, and just a lot of it's common sense. I studied natural resources in college. I was going to be a DNR officer. If you know what that is, Department of Natural Resources. It's like your game wardens down in Florida, uh, and I took all the biology that you can take in college, and I contribute that to my research and to what I can do to try and help people. Um, I've been observing human nature for at least 50 years too, since I was, a teenager. And I honestly like to try, and I can't guarantee it, but I honestly, everybody that has come to me for help has left confident and rest assured that they weren't going to die, basically.
Yeah.
I got
Hey,
a good
right there,
record so far. I'm the
you got
Dr.
you got
Phil of Bigfoot.
you got. I just put it up there. Pyromedic said that he had a buddy of his that got spurred behind the leg by a rooster and almost died. See, it's not
Yeah.
zero. There is a percentage. There is a percentage. See what I'm saying? So I kind
Yeah.
of put like I said, I'm in the woods a lot, and And
Yeah. So am
the
I.
opportunity to come across poisonous snakes, bears, panthers, or whatever is going to do me harm.
It's exponentially
It has,
higher where you live than where I live, though. We don't have nothing poisonous except for brown recluse spiders, and they live in
yeah,
people's basements.
it's a. I mean, we don't have brown recluse where I'm at. A lot of people will argue with me, but they need to do their research. There's not brown recluse down here, but we do have like 4 or 5 species of black widow,
Yeah.
and other spiders that'll bite you. I was just recently this year had to go to the emergency room because I got bit by something when I was in the woods, and it got really bad, and I had to go to the ER and get that taken care of. Um, but with Florida's just a dangerous place. I mean, like somebody just brought up, types of exposure and stuff like that. Just the weather elements. I've been out there, and within 2 hours, I'm cramping. My muscles are cramping. I'm dehydrating
Mhm.
so quickly. I can't drink enough water. Um, there's just,
Yeah.
I mean, Florida's a rough place to research in, and
It is.
I don't encourage people to do what I do, but I do encourage people to get out in the woods. Spend a couple
Hmm.
hours at least and hike and go camping and take
Yeah.
your kids out there and enjoy the outdoors and don't fear it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've made no qualms about it, and I'm kind of irked about it. This year's Bigfoot conference has already been announced. They're already starting to show certain people that are going to be there. Um,
Yeah.
and one of them is David Pilates. I'm not a big fan of David Pilates. I'm sorry if to upset anybody, but I'm not a big fan of it. He's been
Hmm.
exposed, but not
Right.
only that, the only reason I didn't like him in the first place is he creates a fear of the woods,
Hmm.
and I
Yeah.
don't want to put anything out there that there's fear to go out in the woods. See what I'm saying?
Right.
I want people out there. I want people camping and hiking and bird watching, whatever it is you want to do out there and enjoy nature because we're losing it on a daily basis. And
Right.
so I don't promote anything that's fear of the woods at all.
No, I don't want people being afraid of anything to go out in the woods. Adam asked me one time, he goes, "You've known about this for these many years." And he goes, and we go in the woods, and he goes, "And you act like there's nothing around that's going to hurt you." I'm like, "Yeah." I says, "Because I'm looking around, I'm being observant, I'm looking around, and I'm
Hmm.
making sure that I know what's going on around me at every given time." But the most fact of the matter is, there's not much really out here in the woods besides, you could fall and break your leg, or you can get maybe a bear or a raccoon attack you. But the chance of a bear attacking you is very slim up here. They think, all you can do is just jump up and down, wave your arms, and they run away. Just got to make yourself look bigger than them. I've
That's
done
right.
that. Um, right after fact, after I got out of college for that natural resource program, I was called to go talk to this child because they thought I was some kind of bear expert. This kid was camping with his Cub Scout troop, and the kid was obviously eating potato chips that evening and rubbing his greasy hands on himself because this bear tore into his tent and grabbed him by his head and dragged him off into the woods. Well, they saved him. He didn't die. He got stitches and stuff like that. But then they wanted me to talk to him to find out what he did. And I says, I don't have to go talk to him to find out what he did. I can guarantee you from right here sitting at my desk, I can tell you what he did. And then they went and talked to him and they said, yeah, Todd, you were right. He was eating potato chips. I said,
Yep.
yeah, but they should
I
teach these kids, if you're going to go out in the woods, you don't eat where you sleep. And when you
Right.
wash your dishes up, you don't wash those up where you camp either. I said, but somebody failed. And I said that it
It's
was it was either the scoutmaster or it was his parents.
It's the same with when
So
I what I do now when I put up my trail cameras because I've had them ripped off the tree. I mean, you see claw marks in the straps and bite marks
yeah,
on the camera. What I
how high
do
are you
now
putting
is
them cameras?
about my face level, about 5 feet up. I'm 5'10",
Okay,
so in that range. Um, but what I do is I wash my hands. I make sure they're clean because I don't want any scent on the cameras. So if I ate a McMuffin on the way out to the woods, and that's on my hand,
Hmm.
a bear, something's going to smell that. They're going to check out the camera. Where's the smell coming from? So I try to clean my hands. I clean the camera and stuff like that now
Yeah.
because, like I said,
Invest
I
in a
found
pair.
my
Get
camera.
some sterile gloves.
Right.
Those nut Drake gloves.
Yeah.
Um, what I learned from one of my brothers being a trapper when we were kids, uh, to keep his scent off his stuff, which I would do because I only have two game cameras and I don't use them because I forget where I put them. Um, he put he had a cabinet that was nothing but fresh. He kept changing them every week. He changed the pine boughs inside of it. This he opened this cabinet up, the whole house with the whole room that it was in would smell like Christmas tree right away.
Right.
So I would suggest that you take your game cameras and keep them in a cabinet or a tub, one of those Rubbermaid tubs with fresh branch clippings in it, and use nitrate gloves when you handle it. I would
Yeah.
also recommend that when you put your game cameras up, go higher than that. Climb that damn tree because I believe Bigfoot can see that infrared beam. I believe it can see that red light, and that's why they're hard to see. That's why they're not showing up on game cameras. You
Yeah.
can
I mean,
see them
that's a
poking
good.
sticks at them and stuff from the side.
I, yeah. I
Yeah,
think that it's a possibility. But again, it has been caught on trail cams. I've seen some legitimate good trail cam photos, not the AI and not the bullcrap stories and stuff. I've seen some that
hmm,
have definitely raised some major interest. So I think it
yeah,
can be, and especially some of the trail cams don't even engage until something walks in front of it. So that even the
yeah,
infrared light doesn't engage. So I think it can be done. I think and I'm big like my key thing is I got to catch this thing on video. I'm not a big
yeah,
picture guy because we've already proven pictures are worthless.
hmm,
Regardless of how good it
yeah,
is, it's very worthless. But a video, even though granted they can be you know you know made up and stuff like that.
right,
But it's easy to figure that out when it's in motion. It's easy to
hmm,
figure it out if it's fake. It's easy to figure out if it's
right,
real. And if it is real, a motion picture will answer a whole lot more questions. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You can
yeah. A
look,
lot more than
you can,
a picture would. Yeah,
yeah, a
I
picture is
agree.
just a still photo and you can only draw so much
So,
from the photo.
right. But I had most about that. My game cameras, I have them set for video, but I also set them like 12 feet up in the air, up in the tree, so they're pointing down.
Yeah,
Um, it's because like most prey animals never look up, and we're talking about
right.
humans too. You know, I don't think Bigfoot does either. It being the top predator in the woods, the apex number one, numero uno. I think he doesn't. He's overconfident, doesn't look up, but I'm sure he keeps his head on a swivel as well, upper body, his torso on a swivel because he can't turn his head. But um, and I talked to a few people that are what do you call them? Take people hunting um, guides, and they said that they had best luck with taking pictures of the animals that they're hunting from taking them from higher up in the trees. So I'm like, huh. I mean, but both animals. I would always catch deer, watching my cameras, my game cameras, because they can hear it. They can hear it
Well, I
or
think
that
the older
ee.
ones, yeah, I think the older ones they did make a sound. Like I've got one I just spent a lot of money on. It makes no noise at all. I've walked in front
Yeah.
of it. I've set it off. I've flown my drone in front of it. There's no
Okay.
sound, and it's a really good and it's
Is it?
solar powered. So
I want one that's Wi-Fi compatible or something
see,
like that. So
I don't do the Wi-Fi because where I go, there's no signal. I mean, literally, as soon as I pull up to
yeah.
my
Well, there's
car,
not much
I
signal up
lose.
here either. So I'm trying to figure out some way to do that.
So I don't
Um,
want to be able to monitor something from my house, and I can't because there's no signal on the equipment itself.
mhm.
So I just do solar power so I can leave them out there for long periods. But
Right.
I really like this camera, and the last time I used it, it worked out really well. The two that I
Nice.
have that Troy's going to use tomorrow are a cheaper version. They may make sound, but they're not reliable. They haven't. It's just I don't know. They've kind of let me down a couple of times. So I'm going to have him look at it and see if he can't figure it out. But
Yeah, I have to get mine. I have to get them. I have to modify them for solar because we don't have much warm weather up here. We get maybe 5 months, 4 or 5 months out of the year where you don't have to wear many clothes. But our winters are drastically bad. So you can't put
yeah,
out any game cameras in winter because the batteries will freeze up. Because we get 30 below zero days, January, February, sometimes for a whole month straight. And batteries can't hold up to that. You know, that's why they say electric cars aren't good for northern, environments.
right,
But I see people driving Teslas around here in the wintertime, but they must have garages that are heated. But
right, right.
I don't know. Um, but I, I, I don't know. It's just the cameras. It's a big inconvenience. It's a very high expense because the batteries are so expensive.
Yeah,
That
and
one
that's why I
game
went with
camera I have,
solar on. Yeah, I went with
yeah,
alkaline, but with solar power. So the
nice.
batteries will never kick in unless it's a cloudy day and the solar power is not charging or something like
Hmm.
that. But it's
Yeah,
Florida; it's
that's what I
sunny
need to
all the
do.
time. Again, my biggest fear is when I leave these things out in the woods that somebody finds them and takes them from me and stuff like that, and that
Yeah.
sucks. But I'm pretty much in desolate areas. There's nobody. If they come, I told somebody yesterday. I said if they find my trail camera, then they deserve to keep it because they went through some thick stuff to find it. So, but
Yeah,
it
I
is
don't
what it
know
is.
if I lost one or somebody stole it. So I had three, but I don't know whatever happened to that one. If either I misplaced it in the woods or somebody stole it. So
Yeah.
it was a cheap
But
one. Um,
all right. Well, we're getting into almost 2 hours. We're at almost an hour and 50 minutes. So we're gonna
all
have you
right,
back in the future. Um,
sure, I'll be glad to come
yeah, it
back.
was a great, yeah, because you got a lot of stuff. We can't do 50 years in a 2 hour period, but it was fantastic. And I'm sorry about Johnny. Johnny wanted to apologize. His phone died, so he's
Oh,
in the
damn.
process of I'm sure he's trying to charge his phone, but his phone died. But show must
Hmm.
go on. We did well. That's why me and
Yeah,
him we got each other's back. That's why it's great to have a co-host. Um,
yeah, it is.
but like I said, everybody check out Entering the Unknown, and that is on Spotify, correct?
It's on most platforms that you get. Any podcast platform you got, it should be there.
But you don't do
As far as
YouTube.
I know. No, we don't do YouTube. I don't do videos. It's an editing issue. I'm not tech savvy. I don't know how to do editing. So when we do our podcast, we call it raw. We put it
Yeah.
out the way we recorded it. There's no editing.
Well,
You catch the
it,
bloopers and everything.
that's why we do live. There's no editing. It is what it
Yeah,
is. You know what I mean? So,
it's like live, but it's
um,
recorded.
you know, but ours is
Yeah.
live right now. These people are seeing it live. They're in the chat room. They're able to be a part of the show, and they are a very important. And tonight we had a very
Yes.
active group, and they did great. They very active group. So
Glad.
I encourage you and Adam. And Adam messaged me earlier on the chat room about talking about YouTube and stuff and helping you guys set that up, and I'll be more than happy to do that for you. Um,
That'd be great.
yeah, and but again, it was great having you on here. And like I said, we'll have to have you in the future. Just so everybody knows, we do have another show coming up. I want to apologize ahead of time. The shows that we have in the future are tentative dates, tentative times, because I've started a new job, a new career, and I don't know what my schedule is going to look like. So once I can figure that out, and then we can get to some set schedule, we'll do that. But between now and then, that may there may be some glitches on, I might one day say, hey, we got a show, and then all of a sudden I got to cancel it because I end up having to work. But we'll see.
Right.
We've got some great stuff planned in December. So, guys, please watch out for December. We're going to have a great show in December. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm not going to give any details on it now, but as we get closer, I will. But I look forward to everybody staying with us and joining us. And it's been fantastic. We really love doing the podcast thing. It's just a great break from our daily lives and an opportunity to have these conversations with like-minded people that really appreciate the subject and take the subject serious. It's very rare we have anybody in the chat room that is ridiculing anybody or giving anybody a hard time on what their beliefs are.
That's good.
And I appreciate that a lot. I really do. So check out Todd and on his Entering the Unknown. I know it's on Spotify because we were on your
We usually
show.
put a
or I was
show
on your
out.
show.
We used to put out a show every Wednesday night. But since Adam moved 3 hours away, I think we're going to start doing it every other week. So it's going to be twice a month until we
Right.
get our act together and figure out how we're doing this right or not.
Right.
We used to get together in the same room, and it's completely opposite of what you and Johnny are doing. So if you guys can do
Johnny's
it,
in Georgia.
we should be able to do it.
Oh yeah, Johnny's in Georgia and I'm in Florida, and we make it happen, man. We make it happen.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a great thing. It's a lot of fun. I love the interest in the subject and talking about the subject, and I don't get into all the paranormal, metaphysical stuff like that. I'm a meat and potatoes forensic guy. But I love talking
Yeah.
about the subject regardless. I love hearing theories and ideas and stuff like that, So that's a lot of fun. And we got some great guests lined up coming up soon. So I look forward to
Looking
those
forward to
guys.
it.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and drop you backstage, and I'll be there shortly. All right, buddy?
All right. I'll be there. I'll be in the bathroom, though. All right. I'll see you later. Good talking.
All right. All right, guys. I'm going to appreciate every single one of you guys. It was a great show. Todd's a great guy. Check him and Adam Pierce out. That's the two hosts of Entering the Unknown. Check them out. Also, check out me and Johnny. Johnny has a channel called Sasquatch Encounter Brigade, and he has a Facebook page, and he also has a YouTube channel. He's got some great things happening on his own property. Even tonight, when we were starting the show, he said he was having some activity tonight. So it wouldn't surprise me that he's not in the woods right now outside of his house. Again, I do apologize. I've taken so much time off from my channel, but I do have a YouTube channel called Bigfoot Florida Guy. I have a Facebook page and a YouTube channel, so please check it out. It's free. It doesn't cost you nothing to subscribe. And when you watch any of our stuff, please hit the like button, or at least drop a comment, because that really does help with the algorithms and gets our channel out there so people will see it more. So we would greatly appreciate that if you hit the like button and stuff like that, especially tonight's show. We got some great things coming up. Please stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of fun. Some things are going to happen, and we also got the Bigfoot conference coming up, and so we'll be gearing up for that and stuff like that. So, again, I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. I appreciate everybody that watched the show live and those that are going to watch it on the restreams later. God bless each and every one of you guys, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next time. We got another show coming up next week or the week after. I have to look at the calendar, but we do have a show coming up soon, hopefully. Cross my fingers my schedule works out. And I'll talk to you guys later. God bless each and every one of you guys.